there was also one lady, Indian ma, who had come with her young son, who was about 6, 7 years old. And she was very much worried because the son had a habit of eating paper, newspaper, any piece of paper he would just put in his mouth. So she was asking Bhagwan to help. So Osho looked at him and he said, okay, make him comfortable in your lap. Let him sleep in your lap. And then he looked at the child for about 10 seconds or so and asked him to open his eyes. And then there was his certificate, which used to have new name, sannyas name. So he offered it to the child. He says, you take this, eat this, eat this. He said, no, I'm not going to eat again. No, I don't want to. So Osho said, now he will not eat that anymore. So don't worry about him. Just take care of him and allow him to grow as he wants to grow in his own freedom. And then he turned at me, and it was such a blissful moment. And then he looked at me and he said in Hindi, and I'll translate that, "Haan to kuch kehna hai? You want to say something?" And the voice was so sweet. It was sweeter even than honey. And I just looked at him, and I don't know what happened to me. I just screamed, and I started crying again and fell at his feet. And again, how it happened, I don't know. And I never thought, I didn't even know what was going to happen. It is just that I was seated there and I was just waiting to see what happens. And when he says, you want to say something? And then I started crying and fell at his feet, and the only thing that came out of my mouth was, Bhagwan, please don't leave me again. Bhagwan, please don't leave me again. Please don't leave me again. And he replied, I said, no, I'm not going to leave you again anywhere. I'll let you go anywhere. I'm going to be with you. I'm going to be with you even in Chicago. And then he said that, will it be okay to have in white clothes? Now, I don't know what he was talking. I didn't even know what was going to happen. I don't know what does it mean to have what in white clothes. So at that time, out of sheer compassion, he used to give sannyas in white clothes and also in orange clothes. White clothes for those people who had to work in offices and jobs and so on and so forth. So orange clothes may create some problem for them. So in order to avoid that, he would give sannyas in white clothes, and those who got sannyas in white clothes, they were known as sadhu. So my first name was Sadhu Satya Vedant. And then, having a mischief in his eyes, he said, but you will have to come back to orange again very soon. Don't think that this is all going to be always white clothes. So I said, all right. And so he took the letterhead and he wrote my name, Swami, Sadhu Satya Vedant. And then later on he changed that to Swami. But that was how he gave it to me. And then he said that you come back after 5 days and then we'll see. So I just remained seated there. And he was again asking people, the whole process was going on. And suddenly he said, Vedant, this prayer meditation, you do it right now. Show it, you do it. So I said, okay. So I raised my hands again. And as I was experiencing the falling of energy in my body, I felt my body was shaking. And then all of a sudden, I kind of become almost unconscious. I just felt, my body just fell. And I heard him saying, it was as if it was coming from some kind of a cave. The sound was very deep in the voice. And he said, come back, Vedant, come back. That's wonderful, that's wonderful. You'll go back in deep very soon. That's very good, come back, come back. So I opened my eyes, I sat down, and that was, and my eye was, I didn't even remember when he got up and when he left. That was my first darshan, my first seeing him on the 11th of January 1975. Now, it was a 10 days meditation camp. So I went to Ma Lakshmi and I said, Ma, I'm here for all these days. Is there anything I can do for the commune? Is any work that I can be any help? So she said, what would you like to do? So I said, well, I would like to translate. I feel like translating his discourses from Hindi to English. All right, she said, wonderful. So you do one thing. She asked me to start translating the Bhagavad Gita. I also wanted to do a translation of Bhagavad Gita. So she asked Swami, Jayanti Bhai was his name, to make arrangement to make sure that there's enough space, table, chair, and so on and so forth. And so she asked me to start translating the ninth cantos of the Bhagavad Gita, ninth one, ninth section, 9 cantos of Bhagavad Gita. And I did that, almost 10-15 pages I did during the 5 days, and then I gave it back to Lakshmi. She then maybe showed it to Bhagavan, Osho. On the 5th day, that is the second darshan, again, as we were all seated, and he addressed at me and he said, so now you have done a good translation. Now this is your work. You translate my discourses, my books from Hindi to English and English to Hindi. And then he looked at me and he said that, and when you are listening to me, take notes and write a book on me. Now I didn't know how to write, what to write, and he made it very clear. He said, write a book on me, and it should be 350 pages. I said, okay, what could I say? And then he says, and publish it in America. And if you don't find a publisher in America, we'll publish it here. No. You will find a publisher in America and it will sell very well. So I said, okay. And then he, out of a lot of compassion and care, he gifted me his napkin. He used to come with a white napkin on his hand. And he gave it to me and said, whenever you feel a lot of trouble, a lot of pain, a lot of discomfort, put it on your heart, okay? And then again, with a mischief in his eyes, said, but don't do it too much. Whenever you find it necessary, only then. And then he asked me to take interest in what is happening here in the commune and so on and so forth. So that was the 5th day of my darshan or my meeting. Now, after that, the last day, that is the last departure, they used to call it arrival darshan and departure darshan. So the last one was my departure darshan. So I went to Ma Lakshmi and I said that, Ma, is there any way I can talk to him alone? Because we feel a little bit embarrassed when everybody's and you're bound to bring out your own story. You feel a little concerned how people will think, so on and so forth. So she said, okay, I'll ask Bhagavan if. So she must have asked Osho. Osho must have said yes, okay. So I was given the message that yes, on this last day, the 10th day, you just be at the Lao Tzu gate a little earlier before everybody else comes. You be there, and somebody will escort you and take you inside. So I did that, and somebody came and took me. So the scene was there that Osho is seated like this, and it was a passage of coming to him from this way, from his garden, like this. But there was a wall on this side, there was a wall on this side, and on this side wall, there was a couple seated there. They were already having a conversation. So when I arrived, I did pranam to Osho, and he said, come Vedant, sit here. So I sat down at a wall next to his side, here. Now the conversation that was going on between the couple and Osho was very interesting. The woman, the lady, she had just tried to commit suicide, and she was just saved from getting dead. And now she was again asking or forcing her husband that she wants to commit suicide. So the husband was naturally very much concerned that she is continuously always asking for suicide. So Osho looked at her and said, okay, if you want to do suicide, so we'll have a pyre of wood, we'll have a fire there. You enter into the fire, sannyasi will dance and they'll do kirtan and all that. No, getting inside a room, shutting the room and putting a pistol in, what's the fun in dying there? This is the best way of dying. And then he suddenly said, and you know what? How to die, you will have to learn from Vedant. Now, I had no idea who these people are, what they are talking about. But again, Osho looked at her and said, you know what? This has become your habit. Even in past lives, you have been committing suicide. When are you going to stop this habit? You stay here. He asked her husband, you go do your work, let her be here. She will relax, she will take rest, and she will also meditate, and she will be okay. So their time was over, because that is the time that was given to them, so they left. So I came and touched his feet. Now, as soon as I started speaking something, Osho said, no, just leave everything to me. Don't worry about it, just leave everything to me. Now this has been his sentence every time. The first day on the first darshan, when I fell down at his feet, I was crying and weeping. I was saying, Bhagavan, don't leave me, don't leave me. And he was saying, just leave it to me. Just leave everything to me. Don't worry about anything. Just leave everything to me. Each time, whenever I have touched his feet, his first sentence, just leave everything to me. So right now also on this last darshan, as I said something, he said, don't worry about anything. Just leave everything to me, okay? So I thought maybe that's it. So I said, so Bhagavan, shall I leave? So no. You sit down here, sit here. Just sit down here. You don't go anywhere. And then all other seekers, they started coming, and that's how it was the last darshan of his. At that time, I did something what is known as, I showed some kind of audacity, a behavior which was not called for. It was like misbehaved behavior, because as he was addressing, the process was going on, I suddenly raised my hand. I said, Bhagavan, there was one thing I forgot to ask you. And he stopped everything. I said, yes, Vedant, yes, what was it? So what happened was, and I'm just sharing it with you how it happened and how I recall. On the fifth day, as I was seated and as the process was going on, my eyes were shut and I saw an image. In my closed eyes, I saw an image. And the image was that there is a treasure box, kind of treasure box. And a hand like appeared from somewhere and opened the treasure box. Actually, it was treasure box or what, I don't know, but there was a water in there. In water, there was a fish. And somebody was telling me that such as the fish cannot live without water, you cannot live without Bhagavan. This is all I heard, or I was told in my closed eyes. And then the scene disappeared. So as I finished this, Osho says, yes, Vedant, that is true. What you heard, that is exactly true. That is true. And again, I became unconscious. And then I think Greek Mukta, she was Osho's gardener. She came and she just rubbed some hand on my forehead here. And I got up. And by the time Osho had, of course, left. So this is how my third darshan happened in December, from 11th December onwards to about 10 days. And then when I had to leave, because I had to go back to Chicago, my job was there. So in train I was crying, in plane I was crying, in Chicago I was crying, because I was missing him so much. I was so overwhelmed with his love and his compassion and his blessing that I used to write a letter. There used to be an inland letter. I don't know whether we have now, but at that time, inland letter. And I used to write each and every nook and corner wherever I found space, I'm missing you, this is happening to me, this is what it is, and so on and so forth. So the whole letter was fulfilled with that. I sent that letter. For about a month and a half, I did not receive any answer. But after about a month and a half, I received an answer in one line. And that was, of course, in Hindi, and I will translate that in English. The only line there was प्रवाह में बहते हुए सूखे पत्ते की तरह बहो. Float in a stream like a dry leaf. Just continue to float in a dry leaf like a dry leaf, because dry leaf can float. Now when the leaf is wet, it can drown, but the dry leaf means completely relaxed, completely no past, no future, no nothing, just very light, just without any burden, without having any burden, just flow and keep flowing. प्रवाह में बहते हुए बहो, keep flowing, as Bhagavan Buddha used to say, chareveti, keep flowing, keep going.